Hi, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba.
I'm John Humphrey.
We're going to watch today from the awesome channel Looper the best MCU Easter eggs you never noticed before. I'm excited to check this out because I constantly miss Easter eggs all the time, even when they're right in front of my face.
I've missed 100% of the Easter eggs in the Marvel Universe.
Well, people, before we hop into this video, I want to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, and that is Floppy Bird.
Yeah, big thanks to them for sponsoring this video. So Floppy Bird is an arcade-style app game available on iOS and Android. And this game is the epitome of simple yet addicting. Seriously, I sat down just to check out this game so I could write up this shout out here, and I wound up playing for a half an hour and unlocked 2 birds, so it is really very easy to get hooked by this game.
You son of a...
Plus, with their latest update, Floppy Bird 4.0 is better than ever.
The game itself is pretty straightforward. Choose either standard or extreme mode, then tap to make your little birdie jump and try to rack up as many points as you can without dying.
Brave fire, toxic sludge, and spikes as you make your way between the pipes. Time your hops just right so you can collect coins and unlock new characters.
And the best part is, it's free to download, free to use, and surprisingly challenging to play.
So download Floppy Bird today, challenge your friends, see who can clinch the high score, or consult the leaderboard to see where you rank across the world of Floppy Bird players.
And don't forget to use our link right here or in the description box to download the app today.
Thanks, Floppy Bird.
Thank you, Floppy Bird. Ew. All right, we're not going to do the reaction anymore. Just wanted to say that.
There's almost a countless number of Easter eggs scattered across the movies of the MCU. Some are subtle,
They all
while
take
others
place
are
at
far
Easter.
more obvious. And although it's almost impossible
Like
to list them all, these are a few that you might have just missed. For years on
we'll
end,
see.
the worlds of the Avengers and the X-Men have been kept separate on the big screen thanks to a conflict in usage rights between various studios. While the Avengers assembled at Marvel Studios, the mutants had their own adventures over at Fox, but that doesn't mean there haven't been any knowing
They look like the Avengers, but darker.
During one scene in Iron Man, Tony Stark conducts a test flight of his new armor for the first time and decides to see just how high he can fly. He asks his AI assistant Jarvis what the altitude record is for a very specific plane.
Alright, let's see this thing can do. What's SR-71's record? The altitude record for fixed.
X-Men's way!
Of course, he also has a place in the Marvel Universe.
Never would've caught
The
that.
SR-71 Blackbird was used as the model for the jet flown to missions by the X-Men, and has
that
often been
intentional?
referred to as the Blackbird
has to
whenever
be.
it's not being
Oh,
called
yeah.
the X-Jet. Now, Iron Man can't exactly specify that Stark was referring to Charles Xavier's private superplane, but it was a nice nod in the direction of X-Men fans nonetheless. Captain America, the first Avenger, takes Marvel fans back to World War II. Not only the era in which
That's the
Steve
Easter
Rogers
egg.
became Captain America, but also the time during which the character was created in real life. But he wasn't the only superhero to come out of this period. During the Stark Expo scene, eagle-eyed viewers will be able to spot another classic Marvel character who was created back when the company was still known as Timely Comics. As Steve, Bucky, and their dates walk through the expo, they pass a glass display case with a costume in it labeled Dr. Phineas Horton Presents the Synthetic Man.
Oh, cool.
Horton is the scientist who created the original Human Torch all the way back in Marvel Comics #1. This character, who was initially kept in a glass cylinder much like the one in Captain America, remains an important piece of the foundations of the Marvel Universe. This particular shot establishes that some version of him existed in the MCU at some point, so maybe one day we'll flash back again and get the full story of Synthetic Man and his adventures.
I don't think we will.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe
Definitely
may be a
are
world
gonna get a
unto
stamp
itself,
alone.
but it exists in the greater realm of Marvel Entertainment, which itself contains a vast multiverse of various worlds featuring many alternate versions of its characters. The MCU even has its own designated reality number, 199999. This places it within the greater Marvel universe, meaning that whether we'll ever see it or not, there's a cosmic link between the cinematic versions of these characters and their prime continuity comic book counterparts. That link was further emphasized in Thor: The Dark World, when Eric Selvig laid out his understanding of reality on a giant chalkboard during his time in a mental institution. Among his scribblings are the words 616 Universe, the official designation of the main Marvel Comics universe.
Any questions?
Oh, how fascinating.
That's cool. Oh, Stanley.
Yeah. Can I have my shoe back?
Although Stan Lee's cameos in Marvel movies have become practically legendary, Lee isn't the only Marvel luminary to pop up in the MCU at one point or another. One of the most notable instances of his fame came during Captain America: The Winter Soldier. As Alexander Pierce is questioning the Winter Soldier, a team of handlers are standing around the room. One of them, seen on the left, is Ed Brubaker, an Eisner Award-winning comic book writer responsible for resurrecting Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier in Captain America #1 back in 2005. Before Brubaker joined Captain America, Bucky had been dead for decades and was long considered one of the rare comics characters who would never return from the grave. Without Brubaker, the MCU would be a very different place indeed, so it's nice to see him get a little moment of recognition here. No Easter egg within the entirety of the MCU is quite as bountiful as the Collector's Hideaway on Nowhere in Guardians of the Galaxy. His massive treasure trove of artifacts and living specimens seems to go on forever, and if you're willing to be a little liberal with the pause button, you're likely to notice quite a few interesting things.
Liberals.
Very well, then. Let us see what you brought.
Among his items are a Chitauri warrior from the Avengers, a dark elf from Thor: The Dark World, Cosmo the Space Dog, and of course, Howard the Duck. However, there's one more find tucked away in that room that could have wide-reaching implications for the future of the MCU. It's possible to spot a certain cocoon-like object that writer-director James Gunn later hinted was the gestation place of Adam Warlock, a character further teased in a post-credits scene from Volume 2. As it turns out, the two objects might not be the exact same cocoon, but the visual cues are difficult to ignore. Adam Warlock has massive cosmic implications for Marvel's future, so if he does show up at some point, we can probably tie it all back to this.
I can't
Some
wait for
Easter
James
eggs are
Gunn to
so
bring him back.
obscure
Oh,
you
definitely.
won't
It's
recognize
gonna be
them if you
great.
carefully
Guardians 3,
one
can't wait.
very specific comic book. That's the case here with this gem from Captain America: Civil War. At Peggy Carter's funeral, her niece Sharon delivers the eulogy and passes on some words of wisdom her aunt once shared with her.
Even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree, look them in the eye, and say no.
It's a powerful moment. For certain comic book readers, however, it was made all the more powerful by the fact that it's a speech lifted largely from Amazing Spider-Man number 537, a comic tying into the original Civil War event in which a very similar speech is given by none other than Captain America himself. Screenwriters Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely definitely did their homework with this one. Some Easter eggs may begin as an amusing idea, but sadly just don't come together and fail to ever reach a satisfying payoff. In the MCU, where some parts of the universe are attempting to work with the same concepts as others, this can happen a lot. For example, it was the case with one particular hidden gem in Doctor Strange, which has been semi-retconned by the events of Hulu's Runaways TV series. At various points in the film, we see glimpses of the Hong Kong Sanctum, where sorcerers work to guard that particular corner of the world from a host of magical threats. Among them is a staff-wielding character named Tina Minoru, played in Doctor Strange by Linda Louise Duan. We only know her name because she's listed in the credits, but Minoru happens to be the mother of Nico Minoru, one of the main stars of Runaways, who eventually wields her mother's staff herself. Of course, Tina Minoru was recast for Runaways, but it's still a nice touch. Some Marvel characters might not
I didn't
be
realize
prime
that.
time yet,
I've
but
seen
are still
Runaways.
loved by enough fans and filmmakers to make at least a brief appearance in the MCU. One instance of this happening occurs during Thor Ragnarok, when we see the Grand Master's Palace on Sakaar for the first time. This towering structure is adorned with various shimmering statues depicting the heads of champions who have fought in the arena. And while the Hulk head under construction might end up dominating the whole thing, the heads that have already been built are particularly fascinating for comic book fans. They include Bi-Beast, Man-Thing, Ares, and even Beta Ray Bill, a longtime ally of Thor who fans have been hoping to see on the big screen for years. We may not see any of these characters actually living and breathing in the MCU anytime soon, but these statues were enough to let us know they exist, and that's a good start. Avengers Infinity War is very loosely based on the 1991 Marvel Comics event series The Infinity Gauntlet. While the plot of the movie differs significantly from its origin story, the film bears many nods and winks to the text. For example, Bruce Banner crashes through the roof of Doctor Strange's sanctum, echoing the moment when the Silver Surfer did the same thing in the comics.
I understood that reference.
Of all the moments that made Gauntlet fans happy, however, one that really stands out comes in the film's very last shot, when Thanos sits down at his humble farm to watch the sunrise on a grateful universe. As he walks through the hut, you'll see something standing amid the crops growing outside, a scarecrow made from his old battle armor. At the end of Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos gives up his quest for ultimate power after the battle, takes up farming, and makes a scarecrow with his armor. These may be
not
two
notice
very
that
different
scarecrow.
ways of arriving at the same image, but it's a great reference nonetheless.
Yeah.
That's a good video.
Yeah, actually, all of those were surprising to me.
Yeah, that was a great video.
Yeah, man. I props to whoever sits here and scours all these movies and
Man.
finds these things.
I mean, it just goes to show you too how the MCU. I don't know if the MCU will be around forever, but they'll never be short of ideas or characters. You know?
No, or different takes to bring to them, or different realms to go to,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, there are endless comics to mash together, and
That's pretty cool. How for the very first MCU official film, there was a nod to the X-Men right there.
Yeah, right.
I never
Yeah.
picked up on that.
I never would have.
All the countless times I've seen the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
I've never noticed that one specific moment. How funny. Kevin Feige's been wanting it all along.
Yeah, man, that was the first harbinger of the Fox deal.
It seems like, you know, every time you hear about Fox and the Disney merger, Feige just seems like, I don't want to talk about it. I hate this.
I want to deal with the X-Men right now.
He never seems like positive about it. Like, yeah, I know we have them. I don't want to do it. Yo, dude, you guys were nodding them in the very first movie. If there's one thing you got to thank Thor the Dark World for, though, the whole thing with the 616 universe.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Screw that. I like Thor the Dark World. I know everyone hates that movie. I like it. The 616 universe thing, I've never heard of that. We have our own separate universe for the MCU, but showing that they're in some way it's not just based on the comics, that it's got its own timeline
There
in
is a
conjunction with the comics, you know, which
Yeah.
is actually even cooler. That's very neat to me. I actually really appreciate that little linkage right there. I would never have noticed that.
No, me neither. I mean, that's
Never
the
have
thing.
noticed the scribbling on a chalkboard.
But going into future MCU movies, especially now, I'm going to keep my eyes like on a swivel in case there's anything in the background that I might be able to catch. And that's actually a piece of the comics that, through research over time, I have picked up on a little bit. And I've thought that Marvel has done a really great job of translating the comic book vibe to the big screen. So it's cool to know that they are all kind of linked. And I guess in a way that makes the possibilities to me broader.
Sure.
To know that it factors into the greater just universe of all of Marvel.
Adam Warlock in the comic book is the main character that helps with actually taking down Thanos. And so I really thought, you know, it would be neat if he came at the end of the first Infinity War as a tease, but then I do kind of feel it might detract a little bit in terms of the buildup of the characters we've spent so much time with, and they're going up against their ultimate enemy, and their solution would be introducing a new character instead of them figuring out a way to take down Thanos. So I'm actually kind of glad I don't know if he's going to be in the next Avengers movie, obviously. Supposedly he's not going to be. They've been teasing him and building him up, even though when James Gunn was with Disney and Marvel, he was still saying, yeah, we don't actually have real plans for Adam Warlock.
I just want to put this in.
I just want to keep teasing him in every single movie.
I just love list videos, and I want to be a part of that.
It would really open up the horizon and the expansion of the cosmic section of the MCU. If you were to throw Adam Warlock in here, it would change a lot, and it would be a much easier solution to beating Thanos.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that we haven't gotten him just yet. I would like him to be in here because he's a weird character, and he's a really powerful character. So I'm hoping he does come into play, but for now, I'm cool that he's not in here. First, I was thinking he would be in these last couple Avengers movies, but now I'm like, nah, I'm actually cool with him not being in it.
Well, yeah, and with Captain Marvel coming up too, and all the hype around her level of
Yeah.
immense power, and you know the effect she's going to have on the MCU, I'm sure they want to hold off on something like Adam Warlock until they need another shot in the arm. You know,
I don't remember the character's name. I've seen Runaways and the Asian girl.
Yeah.
And her mom. What was cool about Runaways is the parents are also just as important as the kid characters. Like they really do share the screen and them and the show. So that's a neat Easter egg to me. But I wonder why she wasn't pointed out in the movie. It must be some deleted scene in Doctor Strange, especially if you're going to credit the character because they're in Looper. They said that they only know that the character's in here because of the credits. So it must have been a deleted scene, or they just gave some featured Asian extra the title name so they could have a little Easter egg in there in their credit sequences.
Look, this character is technically in our movie.
Or were they like, you know, we're going to make Runaways and we want her in here, so can you cut her out of the movie? But I don't think Marvel, the movies, would adjust for some Hulu show.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's their first Hulu show. Yeah.
Listen up, Marvel. We got an operation over here.
We're going to be the most talked about show. Everyone talks about Runaways. Yeah.
Yep, especially since Cloak and Dagger Dagger came out.
But guys, Runaways is actually a great show.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty good.
really recommend that show.
Dug the
Yeah.
first season. Oh, the heads I thought was kind of cool on the the tower of
Yeah,
the Grandmaster's Citadel.
This video just goes to show you can't read into too much with the MCU. Yeah.
Everything is an Easter egg.
Everything is an Easter egg, and it's detailed out. I didn't even think like, oh, I wonder what those heads are or who that is. But then the second they popped up on screen before she even said anything, I was like, oh,
those heads.
Those heads are probably characters in the comic books. Yeah,
That's the thing. Is this is training my eye for next time. And I thought all those characters they talked about seemed pretty cool. I definitely would want to see Thor's buddy that they talked about just for the design alone.
Yeah.
I love that sort of like narrow skull-like face.
Kind of looks like Alec Baldwin from Beetlejuice when he transforms his face.
Yeah. That weird pointy glove thing. Yeah.
Honestly, my memory for comic books tends to dwindle pretty fast. Maybe it's because of certain things I put into my lungs before I read. It just makes reading so much better.
Yeah. It makes the colors pop. And the stories really glide. You don't remember the Scarecrow?
I remember the Scarecrow moment, and I remember him being on a planet. I remember him being on the farm at the end of Infinity Gauntlet. Like I remember watching it in the theaters, going, "Oh yeah, the snap. That's what happens in the comic." And then watching the farm, like, "Oh yeah, it's like in the comics." Yeah. But I never noticed the Scarecrow. I've seen Infinity War 3 times, and I had never noticed that Scarecrow in the corner. That just goes to show you, man. I'm sure the grass is something that's an Easter egg of sorts.
It's actually grass that was transplanted here from the field where Odin died. It's the same ledge. It's just reimagined inside the Soul Stone. It's great. What I really want is a spin-off starring that Scarecrow. You know,
Yeah.
It's like if you could use the glove to bring the Scarecrow to life, and then you just have a Thanos Scarecrow while Thanos is kicking it at home. That's these are the comics
Or they
you
all
get from me.
like, let's attack him, and then they all start punching him. What the hell? We did it! It's a Scarecrow.
He's hollow inside. There's nothing here. Thanos.
Why did we spend 20 minutes beating this thing up?
And it still wiped out half the universe. Explain that to me.
All right, guys. Well, are there other Easter eggs that we may have missed?
No, definitely not.
I think Looper's got them all covered. Yeah.
That's it. All 10.
Well, you guys can subscribe to the Reject Nation, click that notification bell, and don't forget to go to that description box and download the Floppy Bird app today. I'm telling you guys, it's a total blasty blast. Blast.